Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Ysn Power Hour, brought to you by our friends at Toyota of Warren. DJ Yoakley on this side, Scotty Minster on that side, making his triumphant return to the PH. Scotty, how are you, brother?
I am great. I am wonderful. There's so much to look forward to this time of year, but the present is great too. But just looking forward, I don't want to rush summer away. But as you know, like a lot of people, I love the fall sports season. So man, just chomping at the bit lately. Can't wait.
We got 2 weeks before we get started with football, obviously. But Scotty, leading up to it, people haven't seen you all summer here on the Power Hour. We've seen you intermittently with Anthony on his show. How has the summer treated you, my friend?
It has been a good one. A lot of shows with the Purple Cat Band. That's been a lot of fun. We just did last Sunday the St. Pat's Festival in Hubbard, so that was really cool. We've been out at Birdfish Brewery, did one there. So just been having a lot of fun with that and working on music and recording songs. Also, I've been just kind of out out and about trying to get places and just enjoying the weather and family get-togethers like the fourth and everything. So I've been busy. It's been good.
Is your family one that lights off their own fireworks, or you go somewhere to watch?
Oh, we would get fireworks like years ago, but not, we don't get them anymore. We always usually go somewhere um, like the Lowville festival, which just concluded not too long ago, or we'll go somewhere. I forgot to mention, I was at the Scrappers game last Saturday as well. So they do that. That was a lot of fun, and they do a great job with it as well.
Some history made last night. I don't know if you caught it at all, but DeZenzo, who is a Marlington product, was the first ever scrapper that got called up from the MLB Draft League. He got called up to the Houston Astros. Almost said Houston Texans. You can see where my brain's at. He got called up to the Houston Astros, batted seventh last night. A big night for Marlington, a big night for the Scrappers, a historic day in the Mahoning Valley as far as the draft league goes. But, for this area that has been so blessed and so rich in baseball and softball lately, it was a big day for everybody in the area. So congratulations to the DeZenzo family for all their success and for achieving dreams, man. It's got to be some kind of rush, some kind of feeling to have your dreams come true, get that call up to the big leagues, and put on a major league uniform officially for the first time.
Yeah, does it really get any better than that? That's just really like we all imagine it, especially when we were first starting getting into sports as kids, whether we're in the backyard playing baseball or football or whatever sport. Like we could paint the picture in our head, like we we let our imaginations go sometimes, but for it to actually live that and have it happen, it's like I don't know. I feel like the imagination you couldn't even you could only sort of like paint. It's on a small scale of what it actually would be if you actually went out and lived it. So that's just got to be like super exhilarating.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dream sequence where everything's like, I don't know, a little bit faded, a little bit. You can see the shapes, you can see kind of what it looks like, but you don't know the details of it. And then when it actually happens, to be able to look around and kind of remember where you are and what the consequences were, what the verbiage was when you were actually told that you were going to accomplish those dreams, going to the big leagues or going up, being called up to varsity. I mean, it's a special moment in anybody's life, and I've got to believe that that's one of the biggest joys, outside of family that you're ever going to have. So, congratulations to them, Scotty. We are 2 weeks away from high school football starting. 15 days, I should say, away from high school football tomorrow. 2 weeks from tomorrow, let's start over again. 2 weeks from tomorrow, we will kick off high school football. There, it sounds a little better. We will be there at the Ice Castle where the Ursuline Irish will be kicking off our season on YSN for football. For you, as a huge high school football fan, someone who grew up around it, loves it, and just continues to just eat it up like it is their cookies every single fall. What are you looking forward to most about this particular high school football season?
Um, I'm definitely looking forward to. I would say, and we've talked about it a bit off the air, but I'm definitely looking forward to being a part of the team again. And we talked about me returning to athletics. So that's I just love to be a part of a team striving for something, but I think more and more as time has gone on and over the years, the longer I continue to be a part of the team here at YSN, I think the more I appreciate the fact that just because most of these athletes, aren't going to play big time ball at the next level, or at least a lot of them aren't, it doesn't mean that they can't have their own personal showcase in high school and big time moments and kind of memories that they can cherish forever. And I took a lot away from your recent interview with Andy Hake, and he even said it, and it really was something that I pondered, and it stuck with me a lot. It was really something that stuck was when he said, we all want to win and we want to be champion, and the goal is a state champion, and that's what you strive to be. But there can only be one of them. There's only 7 in all the divisions. So even getting the chance for teams to win a league title, I think we shouldn't really just gloss over it as ho hum a league title. No, it's something really special. Yeah, you want to get to that ultimate goal, but you could still make those tremendous memories and have those signature moments that kind of stick with you the rest of your life. And I don't know, that's what I get most excited about for high school football, because the feel is just different. Not that I don't love any of the other sports, because I do. I love them dearly. As more time goes by, I'm getting more of a appreciation for other sports, but the feel is just different when you talk football in this area. In high school football, it's like just that adrenaline rush. It's almost like injecting adrenaline, like that mainlining adrenaline, like you just get psyched up. And Andy did the Hulk voice, and oh man, I was just watching that interview, and I'm like, man, I would definitely, if I was able to play, like I want to run through a wall for that guy. Um, just seems like such a great leader. So I know I got a little went off on a tangent there, but I think that's what I most look forward to for this high school season is that there's always, even if it's not the story that gets the most attention, you could still make good moments out of it. There's still going to be a lot of stories, and that's in starting in high school, and especially the seniors, and having those memories, even, and it starts in practice. And Andy talked about enjoying practice, and I think that's really important because not just in sports but in life we get so caught up in the big picture, and where I'm gonna be at this point in my life, and am I gonna reach my goal? And sometimes you just gotta kind of take a deep breath and enjoy the moment, not take it for granted. And that's something that this great country affords us, and it's definitely something I never want to take for granted. And that's why America, to me, it's we don't all we we don't know what cards we're gonna get dealt, but it doesn't mean we can't take our cards and make the most out of them. And to me, that's what the country is all about. And football is that great vice, like other sports, but to me, even more so, it just brings people together. It's fun, and there's nothing like high school football on a Friday night. It just hits different.
USA, USA, USA. Scotty's gonna be running for president before the end of this show, man. You're talking about the country. You sound like Hank.
Oh man, yeah. I usually don't. I try to stay away from getting political, but I don't know. I don't know if it's the Olympics and watching the medal count and everything, and seeing the great success of the U.S. Maybe it's that, but yeah, I felt very patriotic there, but man, there's so much to be excited about this high school football season. And another big thing, um, because as you know, DJ, I'm a graduate of Lowville, the Lowville Rockets, and I thought going into last year, I questioned, are they going to be able to recapture that same magic? And they lost a lot. What are they going to do? And they had another tremendous season, and now people are saying, like, I don't know how they're going to be this year, what's going on, but I think I'm done doubting my Rockets. I have faith that they've definitely changed the culture down in Lowville. But
They've got, listen, Mamula is an incredible coach. He's an incredible guy. I love talking to him. I can't wait to get him on another coach's corner. We did it a couple years ago when Vinny Balone was a senior. Last year, we weren't able to make anything work. This year, in some of the rumor mills and some of the things that I'm hearing about Louisville is that for the first time in, I believe, 5 years, there will not be a Balone under center. But this Wilrich kid seems to be the real deal. And you've got Perry in the backfield that's going to undoubtedly lead this team in several different capacities. But I heard this Wilrich kid has an absolute cannon. And I can't wait to see if we know one thing about Louisville, they are not afraid to let it fly, and they love the aerial attack. You're the Rockets for a reason. You live in the air. So I cannot wait to see what this does, and I'm absolutely aboard the Louisville train when it comes to supporting you, Scotty, and Coach Mamula.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I got those goosebumps already. But if I may, DJ, um, if you'll allow me, I was wondering if I could flip the question you had for me to you. What are you most looking forward to this season that it maybe goes with other seasons, or maybe it's different from years past with high school football?
Yeah, this season's going to be interesting. From a standpoint of YSN, we've grown again. We have Perry. There's a couple other schools that potentially we could sign in the next 2 weeks before football starts that could make our coverage even more interesting. We also have Southeast that we signed, being they're now part of the MVAC. I'm excited that obviously we have more growth, which means more opportunities for more student athletes on our platform. Um, but my broadcasting schedule, there have been a lot of guys that have stepped up to the plate this year. Last year I did like 4 to 5 shows a week, and then did a game on Friday, which didn't allow me to do much in the way of volleyball. Which, some people liked, some people didn't. But I love the game of volleyball. I love the sport of volleyball. I love being able to go and kind of be a face in the community wherever it is. And from the broadcasting aspect this year, it's a little bit different for me because South Range plays, I believe, 6 home games to start the season, and then they go on the road for football. So it's going to allow me a lot of flexibility, especially that last month of the regular season, to be able to go and potentially broadcast different teams on Friday nights or on Thursday nights. The other thing that I really am enjoying is we're in development right now for potentially and I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, we had a Thursday night kind of a football countdown show that we go to a different spot every week. That could be back into the mix this year, and that's something that I really loved. That's something that I know the people, the fans really appreciated and enjoyed, and being able to go, to different places every Thursday night and talk football and talk with the coaches, talk to cheerleaders, talk to the football players, talk to volleyball players if they don't have a game that particular night, talk to the community, dine in those communities. It's really, really fun for me to do that. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that happens again. And you know what? For the first time, I'm really excited about from the family side of things. My son playing baseball and football, at a not t-ball kind of level, at a competitive level, to be able to kind of get things started for the Yoakleys and see kind of where this train takes us. So a lot of excitement, a lot of enjoyment, and I am absolutely blessed beyond measure to be able to put the armor on for another year of high school football, our 8th year of high school football here on the network.
Yeah, that's man, 8 years are already. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Z man, I'm excited to hear how what happens with Z. He's got to be pretty stoked about it, I would imagine.
Oh,
Um,
dude, I was at the Hall of Fame a couple weeks ago doing work for our friends at Game Changer, and you would have thought Z was already being inducted into the Hall of Fame the way that he was strutting around with his little chest puffed out, and he's a pretty good little athlete, and every dad brags about his kid. I'm not ready to sign him up for the NFL quite yet or for the major leagues, but he works really hard at it. It's something he really enjoys, and as someone who loves sports, I'm really fortunate in that fact and that spot, because to be able to share something with your kid, that's the best thing there is.
you talk about sharing something with him. Is there anything as far as like his playing style, like have you thought about? I mean, I know it's very early, but do you like seeing him in attack mode, being more aggressive, or just like kind of more sitting back, letting things, seeing how they play out, letting things come? But I get the feeling from Z that he's kind of like a firecracker. Is that a fair?
He's I mean, he's 6, so it's one of those situations where he it's fun. It's fun to watch because he just enjoys the game for what it is. It's just a game of tag. You know what I mean? When he's playing flag football, it's just a game of tag. And baseball for him is he lets all his aggression out on that baseball every time it comes in. Proud to say, Pittsburgh Pirates, if you're listening and you need some offense, he did not. I mean, it was T-ball, but he didn't hit off the tee all year. I mean, my guy has gone 2 years of T-ball without hitting off the tee one time. So, last year he was 13 for 13, never hit off the tee. This year, I think it was 15 or 16 for 16. So, listen, I just love watching him play. I have no expectations other than that he shows up and he gives it his best. Um, but man, he has fun, and for that, it's fun to watch him. Watching him play flag football, Scotty, like you've got to come check it out because he's just he's so fast. And I don't even know that he understands plays. They just give him the ball and he goes. And he did this fall, or that I'm sorry, this spring, he played flag football for shout out to the NEO flag football in Canfield. He did like they drew up a play. It absolutely like didn't work, but he took a handoff as a halfback and then he dropped back to pass and everybody like dropped back to cover their guy and he took off and scored a touchdown. And just his vision, his creativity is off the charts. Once he gets dialed in a little bit and a little disciplined, I think it's going to be really fun for him to see how much potential he has. But like I said, biggest thing is especially right now is he's having fun, and second that he's learning to pick up a work ethic and be a good teammate. That's all I care about.
It's gonna definitely be something that I think is gonna be, because you were talking about his ability, like to me that's just like instinctual, like his ability to kind of um, improvise on the fly, like create when people expect him to pass, and then he takes off running. Uh, that's really cool to hear that even at his age, only being 6 as young as he is, that he's still got tricks up his sleeve like that. Um, I I think for me too, it's always been, and this kind of ties into the early high school football talk. I just like especially with when it comes to Valley Christian.
Oh yeah.
So far this year, and you talked about Jay Sean, and yeah, and I'm really intrigued. I think how they're gonna utilize the speed that they do have at Valley Christian. But that's something I always watch too, is and Andy, I have no doubt that he's going to continue to get the most out of his players, but I'm always intrigued by the like guys that when you look at in football, you have your guys with size and guys that are strong. You have the maulers, and then you have the speed guys too that are maybe a little more slight, not as compact, but they're the burners. What would you if you could only have one DJ? What would you rather have, blazing speed, or you want to be that strong dude?
I want whatever lasts, right? So
Yeah.
if it's speed but it's endurance, I'll take the speed. If it's power, but that power is going to be able to stay consistent over the course of a contest, I'll take the power. And I know that's the cheap way out, playing both sides. But I think consistency is the biggest part of high school sports. That is the most challenging part of high school sports, because injuries pop up obviously throughout the year, whether it be football or volleyball or cheerleading, even soccer and lacrosse and tennis and golf. And I mean, these little injuries can be nagging from the first time you swing a club all season. It can just last and last and last, and they could be big injuries, which you're not able to even compete, or could just be nagging injuries that just hamper you and lessen your impact throughout the season. Um, and that's what stinks. And I think that's one of the biggest things or components that people don't put into, like, when they make decisions and when they're criticizing these athletes and talking about them, is what is going on. These athletes have a more demanding schedule, more demanding everything, potentially, for across the board, in school, in mental health, and their games. There's more games. There's more practices. There's extra credit for going out into the community and things like that for your school. There's some of these kids have to work, and then there's injuries, and then there's illness. That there's fatigue. There's all kinds of things that go into it. And I'm not making excuses for them. What I can tell you is that on a Friday night, if a kid's not up to a certain standard that you or your group have kind of put out for them, there could be a reason. It could be that they're tired. It could be that they're injured. It could be that that they've got a bad hammy, or practice didn't go well. But to quote some of the coaches, Scotty, that we've talked to over the years, high school sports, you never know what you're going to get sometimes, because a girl might have had a boy break up with her earlier in the day, and it just absolutely rattles her, or vice versa. A boy could have the same thing that sends them kind of over the limit. So there's a lot of things that go into these high school athletes nowadays that didn't necessarily happen, in my age or my parents' age, that generation of no social media, no phones, no anything like that, other than passing notes and breaking hearts that way.
Do you still see DJs? And I'm just talking, I guess, high school sports exclusively. Like, do you still see it as all the stuff we have and social media and things like that? Do you still feel that for the most part there's still more good than there is bad about it, or is it kind of like it varies to, like, you waver on it, or do you still believe like most of what we have now, it's better because the young athletes, they do have these tools, and it's a better chance for them to be successful?
There's a couple things that I tell everybody when it comes to social media and the internet. Number one, the internet is undefeated. It doesn't matter what you do, the internet will never lose. Number two, social media is a tool, and you either use it as such, or it will use you as such. What I mean by that is, you can use social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, X, TikTok, all, I mean, stuff like this that we do. You can use this as a tool and your utility belt to make you look better, feel better, be better, or it can use you to make you look really silly. And the things that people say and the things that people do on social media, in chat rooms. Yes, there are still chat rooms, on message boards, things of that nature. Things that people say, just because you delete it, right? Just because you move it to the trash or you delete it off your Facebook page or Instagram or your X, whatever it may be, doesn't mean that it's gone from everywhere, because there's this little cool feature on everybody's phone that's called screen grab or screenshot. And it's used more often than you realize, because when somebody says something really stupid or something that's really kind of stands out, good, bad, and indifferent, right? I use it all the time. I snap that shot and I make sure that it's there, because it's something that I'm going to use. It's almost like taking a picture, right? You want to preserve that moment, you preserve that memory. Now you can do it on your phone. So if you go and you're absolutely abusive to somebody, uh, on social media, or you say something you shouldn't, or you do something you shouldn't, there's a way that someone can bring that back up, even if you flush it. So be careful, be incredibly careful for what you put out there. Understand that not just in the current state of what you do is going to be fished out, but things that you say when you are adolescent. I mean, there's stuff that I said when Twitter and Facebook started that I'm sure make me look really stupid, and to the point where Facebook used to have this thing, before you typed it in, it's what's on your mind, and you would answer what was on your mind on Facebook, and it wasn't even a full sentence, it wasn't a complete sentence. So just be very aware of social media, for good and for not so good, because at the end of the day, if you're using it to pick a fight or to start something, it could potentially come back to bite you.
I think it's one of those things, a double edged sword for sure. Good, good and bad, depending on, like you said, how you do use it. I was thinking though, because you talked about injuries and how people, like, they don't necessarily consider everything, and that being one of them is part of sports before they go and criticize a young athlete, whoever. um do you think, because you always hear today's athletes bigger, faster, stronger, do you think there's still, because of that and because of the tools and social media, that if you go back in time, DJ, to when we were coming up and in high school and involved in sports, I never played, you know I was in some challenger baseball and stuff like that, so I do have some feel for, like, the team element. But would you still say that these athletes are in a better position to succeed than ever before? Even?
Yeah, I would, and I think that that technology is a big part of that. I think platforms like YSN, like the prospect that we're building right now, but you know, when we started YSN, it took a little bit, but all of a sudden you started hearing parents saying, I wish I had that when I was a kid, because things would have been different. And you just kind of nod your head, but then you say, okay, well, let's make sure that they're different for your kid, or for the next generation of athletes here in the area. And I think these athletes have it better than anybody. These student athletes are basically celebrities at this point, and I love every second of it, because it's all deserved. It's all absolutely deserved, because the like I said before, the time they put in, it's longer hours. It's you're seeing these kids doing video training, they're doing media training, they're actually training, lifting and working out and training their bodies. Then they're going to practice. Then they have, the film sessions, and then they have got to make sure that they've got great academics in school, and obviously making sure that their attendance stays up and everything else, and the communities, service that they have to do, or they choose to do throughout uh, the year, and all that stuff. But yes, to answer your question, I absolutely think that these kids have it better, but I also think there's more exposure. I think that sports is now viewed as a business as opposed to being a recreational, um, extracurricular activity. It's a business, and it's a transactional leadership perspective that parents put onto their kids, because there's an investment factor that, hey, I'm going to invest $100 a hitting lesson or pitching lesson, or a quarterback lesson, or whatever that may be, right? Like, basketball lessons and things of that nature. I'm going to invest this much money, and my kid's going to go get a scholarship for this much. And most of the time, that's not how it works. It's not a dollar to dollar transactional value. It's a situation where those moments, right? Those moments where it's the bottom of the seventh, two down, runners on second, and your son or your daughter is up, and they deliver a game-winning hit that they will have in their memory banks for the rest of the time, and so will you. Unfortunately for the parent, and I guess fortunately for the parent at the same time, that's what you're paying for. You're paying for those opportunities that your kid has a slower heartbeat than the other one, and that they come through. And you talk about that for Christmases and Thanksgivings and seasons, every time you step on a dirt field. But it does not equal, your dollars in the cage do not equal necessarily a Division I scholarship. And I think that's the missing component in most parents' eyes and vision right now, because just because you train like a Division I athlete does not mean that you're going to be given scholarships like a Division I athlete, especially in today's climate.
And also, kind of going back to what we were talking about, uh, this kind of connects to the, you know, today being better. But it seems to me you were saying, DJ, that the athletes are better equipped to be more successful, but at the same time, going back to the double-edged sword thing, you I get the feeling you think there's a lot more pressure on kids today than before even.
Oh yeah, and I think a lot of it comes down to injuries. I think we're a lot more prepared. We're a lot more informed and educated than ever before. I mean, I can't tell you how many potential concussions I probably had along my years being a catcher, taking foul balls off the mask. That these masks weren't anything like they have nowadays. But you know, it was just we just got our bell rung, right, when we were playing football. When you literally just, I mean, I can't describe what it was. Basically, the lights go out, and you're dinged up a little bit. You get up, and they say, "Well, he got his bell rung. Get back in there." So if there's one of me out there, that means that there's probably hundreds of thousands of kids that are just like me in that scenario, that are of our generation, that we just got sent right back in. Now with all the science and the data that shows, with concussions and injuries to all over the body, um, older generations will call this generation soft. That's what older generations do. But this generation, I think, is going to be of student athletes, is going to be able to go longer, because they're going to know their injuries, they're going to know concussion protocol, they're going to know all the things that go into, if you have a bad arm, right? You just don't you just don't come out and then go back in. You're coming out for the game because maybe there's an opportunity you could play later that season, instead of, you know, just fighting through the pain or fighting through it just to just try to be quote unquote tough. That's the newest thing that I've seen, and I think that's the biggest separator of my generation, of the class of 2003 in that era of, and then now the upcoming class of 2024.
Yeah, and I do think that it's a good thing. You do hear a lot of, because even if you go back another generation, DJ, and a name that immediately comes to mind that is like somebody like Bernie, and his, it's very well known, what he's struggling with now, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure at times, like there were probably times in his playing days, he's only a couple years older than my dad, and I'm sure there were times his playing days in the short term when he's just like, I got this, and I'm gonna get back out there, and it was good for him short term wise, and it was kind of all he knew. But then, years down the line, these guys are having major health issues. So I do think it is good that we know so much more about this stuff, but it's one of those things, like you do wonder, even in a sport like baseball. um, I've wondered about this a lot, and I guess I wanted to get your thoughts. I didn't expect to take it here today, but like baseball, with the injuries, with pitching and all these pitchers going down. Um, do you think it's just a thing where most injuries it's just bad luck, and it's just, or do you think that, um you know I I forget what, basically what I'm trying to say. I know, apologies for getting long winded again,
It's okay.
but I'm just trying to say, like, it just feels like, today's athletes, I definitely think they're superior and that they have more, but it's like, also, I don't really know why, like, injuries in baseballs and pitchers' arms, it's cropping, like, coming up as much. It seems like more than in the past. Why do you think that is? And why do you think, like, certain athletes are being called like soft now and things like that? Do you think it's more just, you know it's more just a coincidence? But
No, no, no. It's simple. It really is simple, and people don't want to admit this, but essentially, it comes down to everybody's body has its limits, and everybody's mind has its limits, and we as human beings are continuously trying to push past those limits, and you push the envelope until it falls off the table. But what I can tell you is, when you're pushing your body, when you're pushing your mind, there is an expiration point. There is a point of essentially no return, and that's when your body gives out. That's when you see these pitchers, they're throwing harder than ever before. They're throwing incredibly hard. I mean, we just saw Aroldis Chapman was the first ever pitcher to throw 105 miles an hour a few years ago, and just a few weeks ago, he was the first pitcher to ever have a 103 mile an hour fastball deposited into the bleachers. So it's a thing where no matter how much we push our bodies and in the spirit of competition, the other side's going to be able to counter and prepare for what we bring to the table. And our bodies are only going to take us so far. Think about Garrett Cole. That's the one injury that everybody talks about. Garrett Cole, Garrett Cole, Garrett Cole. Well, Garrett Cole throws 100 miles an hour or thereabouts, right? for the better part of 7 to 8 innings. Football players, you look at some of these injuries that we're seeing. You know, Christian McCaffrey is a ticking time bomb. For as much as he is used in the 49ers offense and was used in the Carolina offense, my guy is going to eventually have a point that his body starts to break down. Russell Wilson's 36, 37 years old. His body is breaking down. We saw it with Roethlisberger. You know, Baker Mayfield took all those hits in the early part of his season with the Cleveland Browns. How long will he have as a potential starting quarterback in the league? It's just a matter. I mean, the NBA. LeBron James is a freak. He's an absolute freak. He's a freak of physics. He's a freak of nature. You know, how long can his body? He's 39 years old right now. How long can his body continue this over the course of the last 21 years? So it's crazy, but we try to push past that, right? We try to make sure we keep our bodies fed, nutrients engaged, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, our body will always have, maybe not always the same end game and point of no return, but everybody has that point of no return. And we are, as athletes, as people, as competitors, trained to push past that. And sometimes there is no past that. Sometimes it's such a steep fall off that you're just shelved for sometimes your career. So yeah, I think that's the difference is our bodies are not supposed to be doing some of the things and freakish things that these athletes are doing, and that's why you pay $70 to go see them. Because I mean, let's be honest, would you want to go to a men's church league softball game and pay $70 to see some of these schlubs do the exact same thing that you can do in your own backyard? Or do you want to see these guys hit 470-foot bombs like O'Neal Cruz that you've got no chance in your life of ever being able to do?
Yeah, you want the bombs. It's I don't know, it's very interesting because like you definitely I don't think even on the high school level, like you'll have people and they'll have their certain criticisms and things like that, but it just seems like especially on the pro level, and I don't know, maybe it's because pros, there's so much money involved, and with high school athletics, that isn't the case, and maybe people feel like the people they call like today's pros or today's NFL, like it's a softer game because these guys, you can't hit them like you used to, and you can't defend like you used to, and for that reason it's soft. But I
have a question for you before we have to ship out of here. It's a little would you rather Pittsburgh edition. Are you ready? Since we're talking about injuries and things of that nature, you can do one, or you have to do one of the following in order to have a delicious Permani's Brother sandwich, because we're doing Pittsburgh edition. You ready? You can A, be sacked by TJ Watt, B, take a slap shot in goal from Sidney Crosby, or the last one, let's go, you can get hit by Paul Skeens' fastball.
Oh man. It's all terrible. I would probably say I would say let me get beamed
by Skeens.
I do not want to get hit by sacked by TJ Watt. I'd say I'll take one beaner.
A beanball from Paul Skeens at 102.
Oof. Yeah, I probably wouldn't survive it, but
You don't get your Primanti sandwich because you don't survive the beanball.
Yeah.
I think I would take the sack by Watt.
You would?
Well, at least I feel like I have a little bit of control over where I get hit, right? So if you're in the pocket and you just kind of do a little dance, you can do the old Peyton Manning and just cover up and go down and get smothered, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. I guess you could just concede the give up the just go down, surrender.
I think the last one I would do is Skeens because I mean you can't even see it coming, and that thing if that gets you in your ribs, like it makes me hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Thanks. Big no thanks. Actually, we have the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? First, you ready?
Yes.
All right. Let's see if I hit the right one. It is the Joe Dickey Electric. What's your spark? Presented by Joe Dickey Electric. Anything electrical, make sure you go over to DickeyElectric.com. Scotty, what is your spark today?
My spark today, I'm gonna have to go with. I'm gonna have to go with high school football. It's obvious, but I'm gonna have to go with high school football only being like 2 weeks away. It's not just because I love high school football, but it's the funnest part for me as far as the socialization part of it and getting to be with my team and my friends. So it's my favorite time of year. I know I could have waited to do this one, but I'm having those dreams about it, playing football and people, two-hand touching me for the tackle.
Let's go. Let's get it going outside. We can get you on the turf at athletics. We'll get a little game going.
All right, I'm totally in. But yeah, I guess that's my spark is just that the fall sports season and more specifically football is back, high school wise.
Mine, I've got a poor spark and a negative spark and a positive spark, I guess. So the negative spark, I have to go get my eyes dilated every time I go to the eye doctor, which I go every 6 to 8 weeks or so now. That's why I'm looking and trying to make because I still can't see everything. I can't read anything at all. So I'm just hoping clicking these buttons that I'm doing right. But before all of that went down, I'm sitting in the waiting room and I'm looking at my phone and waiting patiently. And I get an X notification comes down on my phone and it reads, "You are now being followed by @John Cena." And I saw it and I thought to myself, all right, somebody's yanking my chain here. There's got to be something. This isn't the real John Cena. I click it. Ladies and gentlemen, John Cena on X follows your sports network. It has happened. We have arrived. We are here. John Cena, for 1 second, knows or knew who we were and was thinking about us. We have made it. You can't see me, but we can see you. Thank you, John Cena. The 6-time world champion likes YSN. Thank you.
That's awesome. I was wondering how you were gonna spin the you can't see me. That's so awesome, man.
That is going to do it for our show today. Scotty, thank you for making your way back towards the Power Hour as we kick off another season here this week. Thank you so much for your time. Looking forward to catching up with you on Wednesdays. We didn't really talk about Pittsburgh and Cleveland, so a little pat on the back to us, my friend.
Yeah, we'll have to get to it next week. I think, this is just a teaser, but I think Mr. Ayuk is going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler, but we'll see what happens.
Let's go! Yeah, baby! I've been keeping an eye on Twitter the entire time. I wanted to have breaking news, wanted to have Adam Schefter pop in and see if we could get some breaking news here. I haven't seen anything come through, but Scotty, to your point, it looks better and better for that secondary receiver to George Pickens, primary receiver potentially for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and let Russ cook, let the boys eat, and maybe Justin Fields has a little field day as well. We will talk about all the Steelers and the Browns stuff next week. We'll save it for you for the first preseason game. Steelers play Friday. When do the Browns play?
Saturday.
So we'll have all that to talk about, and of course, all your local sports as you tune into the Power Hour each and every day. We appreciate you. Scotty Mitchell Wednesday is brought to you by our friends over at Toyota Warren. We'll see you next time. YSN thanks you for watching this presentation of Your Sports Network. For stories,